Welcome, my friends, to the Horror Syndicate's Werewolf Weekly Show. My name is Seth, and tonight I will be the acting therapist to everyone who has endured the cinematic masterpiece known as The Howling New Moon Line Dancing. That may not be the correct title, but it's a more fitting one. This is written, produced, directed, and starring Clive Turner, who had previously uh, co-wrote the script for Howling 4, the original Nightmare, and he had a cameo scene as a tow truck guy. And he had also co-wrote and starred in Howling 5, The Rebirth, which is a film that I actually enjoyed. Um, Now, just like the majority of the film franchise, it is not based on the series of novels by Gary Brandner. It's its own thing, has nothing to do with those books, and do not uh, do not discard the books just because of the film franchise. So, talking about the Howlin' New Moon line dancing. Here's the synopsis. In between the legendary line dancing, Ted Smith, a life-changing biker from Australia, enters Pioneer Town as a gift from God himself. This movie can confirm that Ted is the greatest thing since sliced bread. But Ted isn't who he says he is, as it becomes revealed that he likes to privately talk into a tape recorder so that he can hear the sound of his own voice before going to bed. As 77 and three quarters of line dancing montages continue to face fuck us, we cut to scenes between a detective and a priest as they talk about werewolves and recap everything from the sequels, helping to fill in a lack of story with a clip show of what's come before. After even more line dancing, the two stories converge as a werewolf from the past enters Pioneer Town and bringing with it one of the most hideous transformations put on screen. So that is the synopsis, or at least my pretty accurate interpretation of this movie. Now, as I get into the pros and cons, as I usually do this week, I'm going to start with the cons instead of the pros. Um, so, in case you couldn't tell from the way that I've talked about this film so far, this is a terrible film. And it is among one of the worst werewolf films of all time. The writing, the direction, the cinematography, the score, the effects, the editing, and the acting are all god awful. I'll get back to the acting in a little bit because I do have something to say about it. But there's nothing redeemable about this film. It's a chore to sit through. Have I mentioned the line dancing yet? In case I haven't, let me know in the comments. I'd rather someone randomly run into my house, shit in their hands, and fling it at my TV than watch this movie. At least that has some intrigue. Who is this person? Why are they at my house? What makes them tick? And what makes them want to shit in their hands and throw it at my TV? Specifically my TV. What's their backstory? That is more interesting. This movie is a love letter to the art of line dancing, masquerading as a Howling sequel. Oddly enough, I have to say there are at least 30 werewolf movies that I've watched that are worse than this. So that's weird. This movie's terrible, but there's worse. Get into the pros. Yeah, I have maybe a couple small ones here. I do appreciate the attempt to connect the entire series together, not only with the return of the Mary Lou character, although not played by the original actress, but also the Marie character from the fourth film. I kind of like the way that it just it tried to tie everything together, even though it was mostly characters talking or being a clip show. Um, I do wish, like in that regard, like there was a little bit more emphasis on it, like to like maybe to point out the fact that the werewolves were different in each film because there are different versions of werewolves out there, right? Like we know there's many different werewolves in fiction, from uh, the bipedal, the quadrupedal, the wolfman hybrid type. There's the traditional wolves, there's spirit wolves, and some, So there are many different, there are definitely many different types out there. And I think if they acknowledged that, it would have been uh, my appreciation for what they attempted to do with tying everything together would be just a tick higher. Um, the weirdest pro ever is this. So 95% of the cast in this were not even actors. They were the real citizens of the town this was filmed in. And while their lack of experience in acting shows, I say good for them for having this moment. Um, they must have had a blast doing it, and I'm sure it was a good and cool bonding experience for these citizens. So, good for them. That's basically all I have for positive. So it's really just like one positive singular, as opposed to positives plural. Because the other one's more of a good for them, good for this community, good for these people to be, I guess, a part of a movie, even though it's a bad one. I'm sure they probably all had fun doing it. So good for them. But yeah, that's all I have for the positives. Now, for the werewolf-related categories that I often discuss, the werewolf type here is, I believe it was bipedal. I tried rewatching it before the show tonight. I didn't get to the end. The one time it shows up, but I do remember. If I remember correctly, it was bipedal. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's a terrible movie, and I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over it. I might lose maybe 5 to 10 minutes worth of sleep for getting a fact about Howling, New Moonlight Dancing wrong, but I think that would be the extent of it, is maybe 10 minutes tops. As for the werewolf design, it's laughable. The werewolf action, it's practically non-existent. Fun fact, there's more line dancing in this movie than werewolf action. So there's that. Werewolf transformation is god-awful. It's one of the worst I have ever seen. And even though there are 30 worse werewolf films than this, I think at least a couple of them are maybe just a tad higher as far as transformations and designs. But that's not saying much. Werewolf sound effects, what you would expect at any time that it cameos in this film. I can't stress enough, there's not really a lot of werewolf stuff in this movie. It's like you see little in-betweens where it's like the werewolf's point of view where the lens is all red, and it attacks people from that like perspective of the wolf, and then it doesn't really come into being until much later in the film, at the very end, pretty much. As far as the werewolf lore, as I mentioned before, I do like the attempt here to tie the entire franchise together. I like the return of previous characters, although I do wish Elizabeth Shue reprised her role as Mary Lou. I'm not sure why she was recast, but I would have rather had her back. I also do like the return of Romy Windsor as Marie, although I'm not big on the fate that she was dealt with here. Final thoughts. It's an absolute masterpiece, peak cinema. There you have it. That is my review of The Howling, New Moonlight Dancing. Probably one of the worst films I've ever seen, one of the worst werewolf films I've ever seen. Yeah, it's just not good at all. So have you seen it? Let me know what you think. Oh, and if you're watching this, if you're watching on the YouTube, maybe ponder the possibility of subscribing if you haven't, and the thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, maybe consider the possibility of giving this a like, or do the laugh emoji, or the heart emoji, the angry emoji, the cry emoji, the wild face emoji, whatever one you want to use. And let me know what you think of Howling 7, New Moonlight Dancing. This is a therapy session for anyone who's had to endure this movie. And I don't know about you, but I feel a heck of a lot better. Talked about it really quick within 10 minutes, and that is longer than I wanted. So now I shall turn to the comments, see what some of you people have to say. Starting off with Sean Sheridan, our friend from across the pond, has his own YouTube channel, which you should check out. He says, first off, I'm rebooting my channel. I'm not doing rankings anymore, just movie reviews. So I got rid of my rankings that said the first Howling will get a review, like that movie in Howling 5. Well, that's cool. You keep doing that. You keep rebooting, man. Is your American Werewolf from London review still up? Because I know that you put it up. I came across it, but I didn't get to watch it yet. So I hope that's still there. Let me know. Need to get that list out of werewolf movies for next year, regardless of I do content. I'm a man of my word and will watch every movie on the list as long as I can find them. Definitely. I actually completely almost forgot about it. It's kind of like it's getting towards the busy time of the year, and it's also like, the colder time of year, and there's times where I'm just like forgetful. I get home from work and I just want to relax. But I will start working on the schedule for next year. I'm thinking for 2026 is to mostly focus on werewolves on TV. So covering every single episode of Werewolf, the series, the show from the 80s. There's only like 29 episodes, I believe. I think you can find them all on YouTube. I'll follow that up with every episode. Each week will be just singularly focused on a single episode of each show that I'm selecting. So following Werewolf the series, I'm going to dive into Being Human, the UK version, because that's the version I prefer. I love that show, and it's a good excuse to watch it. And then there was some other ones too. I wrote it down somewhere, but I'm thinking for 2026 doing mostly werewolves on TV. Let me know if you like that idea or if you don't. I can sprinkle some films in too. Naturally, I'll have new release werewolf film reviews, stuff like that. As far as Howling 7, this is a shit pile. Trying to tie the other movies into this movie makes no sense. It looks like dog shit. Acting is pretty atrocious and just random line dancing. What the fuck? Yeah, absolutely. The line dancing, man, that drives me nuts. There is a reason, as bad as this franchise is, at least the rest made it past VHS. Yeah. I do wish, though, because I'm a completionist. I do wish that I could get the DVD or even a Blu-ray here in the States for it. I do have a region-free player, so I could probably find it somewhere. But in those cases, it costs quite a bit of money. I know that when I got the German releases of Howling 4, the original Nightmare, and Howling 5, the Rebirth, it cost me a pretty penny. And actually, I just found the Freaks as well. So yeah, I'm just a completionist and I want it, goddammit. Shelby says, hi. Hello, how you doing? Moonlight Adventure says, hi. Hi, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Have you seen the Howling New Moonlight Dancing? And if so, I'm really sorry about that. Werewolf movies can get bad. I can testify to that, but oh dear Lord, this is something else. Yeah, absolutely. 30 worst werewolf movies that can't be worse. Getting pissed in the face would have been better than watching this. Trust me, there are worse, and I'm going to select some of them to talk about because, again, as I mentioned before, at least to you, anyone who's kind of new to this, I haven't mentioned before, but the purpose of the Werewolf Weekly show is to talk about everything werewolf related. That includes the ones I like and the ones I don't like. I'm not just selecting the films that I like. I'm going to pepper in some films that I don't like. So there is that. But Yeah, buddy, if you stick with this show and you're a man of your word, you're gonna see. You're gonna see. I do question how you subject yourself to some of these movies. I'm just a hopeful guy. I'm a werewolf enthusiast who tortures myself because I'm on the search for the next great gem. I found a few, right? Like, uh, I remember coming across Dog Soldiers before people were talking about it. Ginger Snaps, Late Phases, one of my top five werewolf films of all time. Late Phases. Just picked it up randomly at Walmart. Never seen it. Never seen a trailer for it. But it's a werewolf movie, so I'll buy it and I put it in, and my God, I loved it. And I keep hoping that as I keep watching werewolf films, that I'm gonna find another gem like Late Phases. So there's that. Now the review is gone for London, but that will be redone in the next few days. Yes, I have rebooted my channel once. This is the last time it's been about finding my format that works. Well, good for you, man. I hope this new format works out for you. And yes, redo that American Werewolf in London review. That is an order, mister. TV shows, I'm out of luck with that. I won't be doing that. Movies are fine. All right. Maybe I'll try to like work them in here and there. But I do want to cover the Werewolf the series that is on YouTube. The first one, the first episode, is a pilot movie, so it's like an hour and a half. But after that, every episode is like only like a half hour long. So um, it's really not that bad. So uh, and it's a cool show too. I think you may dig it. Uh, oh, how fun watching worse movies than Howling 7. Oh, well, screw it. It might be fun. There you go. There you go. And not to mention, too, by the end of all this, by the time I do cover everything, by going along on this journey, you will be a werewolf expert by the end. You will get to say, hey, I have seen every single werewolf film and show and whatever. Um, and you will be a professor of lycanthropy. That's how I'm justifying it. You should watch Big Wolf on Campus if you can do a show from the 90s. I love that show. It's funny. My girlfriend was, I think she was trying to get me to watch it with her. And I might do it. I might do it. Actually, so like the confession time, I did well, within the last couple months, sat down with her and watched all the Twilight films by my request because I wanted to, as you know, I'm creating like this master list of every single werewolf film that I watch, and I was like, you know what, I'll give them another shot, and I'll sit there and I'll watch them all, and then I can put them definitively on a ranking list. So yeah, I might give that show a chance. It's funny that you brought that up. I'm gonna have to let her know. But man, my voice is just getting like it's like normally like when I do the show and I talk for a while, like by the end of the show, like my voice gets really rough. But this is happening pretty early on in this. This is only 19 minutes into it, and uh, it could be the curse of the movie itself. Um, so, does anyone else have anything to say about this movie or anything in general? Anything werewolf related? Any werewolf related request, perhaps? Uh, yeah, just let me know. All the Twilight movies, I did that. I've been sad since. Yeah, not good. Not good. I sat there, watched them like a trooper without making fun of them. At least, not out loud. Uh, but yeah, Well, I'll stick around for another few minutes or so, see if anyone has anything to say. Again, going back to the topic at hand, uh, the Howling, New Moon Line Dancing. Sure, not the correct title, but it is a more accurate title. It's a cinematic masterpiece. No, it's not. It's a movie with a lot of ridiculous line dancing for no reason, mixed in with a clip show of previous movies, mixed in with more line dancing, mixed in with uh, bad acting and bad writing, and it's just overall uh, a giant pile of crap inside a dumpster that's on fire and heading straight towards my house. That's what this movie is. And I do like the attempts to tie in the other the not the other Jesus, excuse me, the other films in this franchise. But uh, other than that, and it's cool for the 95% of uh, citizens in this town who served as actors in this movie. Good for them for having this experience. Uh, yeah, next week I'm going to be covering The Howling Reborn. Uh, Not another, it's one that I don't like. It's a little bit better than this, but uh, yeah, that one. Not looking forward to that. And then after that, I will begin covering the Ginger Snaps trilogy. And then uh, as we roll into December, I'm going to do The Wolf of Snow Hollow, Werewolves Within, and then I'm thinking I'll probably take a break for the holidays. And then when I come back in January, do a Werewolf Films of 2025 um, ranking. So this is all the newer werewolf movies that have come out in this year. I gotta say, there's only one I like so far, and it's barely a werewolf film. There's a werewolf that's in it, but it's not really a werewolf film. So that's a shame. Like at least last year, I had werewolves and Operation Blood Hunt. Fun movies. Not great, but fun. Um, but this year, man, I came around a little bit upon my second watching of Wolfman 2025. Um, I like it a little bit better, although I still don't love it. It's probably number two, but it's still not a movie I overly love. So, um, yeah. I did watch Ginger Snaps 2 last week to catch up on the list. Not a fan. The Insane Asylum, been done to death, and not a fan of the main. See, I like part two a lot. Um, but it's been a while since I watched it. So I definitely loved that one a lot when I was younger, back when it first came out. I haven't seen it in a while, so we'll see. But I do remember really enjoying that one. I thought the ending was awesome, in my opinion. Judge Snaps is a good movie, but never been a huge fan. Yeah, I like it too. It's in my top 10, but it's I think number 9 or 10 on my list. Howling Reborn is Godfather compared to Howling 7. Yeah, but it is the Twilight version of Howling, and that is not for me. I am not the target audience for that. Werewolf Films of 2025, The Wolfman at the bottom. No, it won't be at the bottom. Trust me, I've seen a lot worse this year. But yeah, no, not at the bottom. And I've come around on it just a little bit. I will say I now see the resemblance between the Wolfman design and Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Quite funny. That's what I'm saying, man. That's instantly what I thought when I watched Wolfman 2025 in the theater. When it showed him, when it showed Blake, especially as his, uh, I guess, furthest transformation, like when he's uh, up in that stand with his wife and kid are in there, and he grabs it and he pops up. First thing I thought of was Les Grossman from Tropic Thunder. Um, and I need to make like some sort of like graphic that puts them side by side, so I can prove my point to people. Alrighty, well, awesome. 25 minutes. I think that's good enough for this movie. Obviously, not a lot of people have much to say. Probably not a lot of people have watched it, to be honest with you. Um, and I don't blame them. If you watch Howling, the Howling New Moonlight Dancing after this review, come back to this review for therapy session. Just talking about it, I think helps. I feel a heck of a lot better. Still like the movie for other factors. The design does not bother me, despite that resemblance. I think the design is the biggest flaw for me. I also don't think it should have been called Wolfman. I think I would have liked it a lot better if it just had a separate title, Face of the Wolf, and it just been its own thing. Because it's, I know it sounds goofy to say that, but that stuff does kind of matter to nerds like me. Probably not the general public or people who are not huge fans, but to me. And yeah, I guess it doesn't really matter. All right, so if no one else has anything else to say, I am going to close out for the night. Thank you to everyone who watched and who will watch this after the fact. Again, if you're watching on the YouTube, ponder the possibility of subscribing if you haven't and giving the thumbs up. If you're watching on Facebook, give some consideration to possibly hitting the like button or the laugh emoji or the heart emoji, the cry emoji, the angry emoji, however you're feeling about this film, my voice, anything. And next week, I think next week I'll be back for the Howling Reborn. I've been a little unreliable, probably within the last couple months, about doing the show weekly. Sorry about that. Shit happens. So anyway, I was going to thank whoever commented too. So Sean Sheridan, obviously. Don't forget to do that American Werewolf in London review. Um, um, Moonlight's Adventure. Thank you, Shelby McWilliams. Thank you. I believe that's it. Um, so yeah. Anyway, have a great night, and I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well, shit happens. I'm old. I got bad memory.